Hello, it's SmallBizDavid again, and what happened to my book? Here it is. We're here to have a discussion today with one of our chapters of how do you answer these 100 plus questions about your 2015 small business. How do you like that cover design, Dustin? Isn't that done like really professionally?
Fantastic.
It needs some. We need to doctor it up a little bit, but this was the minus these two things was a cover to my book that I published 7 or 8 years ago, and one of the reasons why I'm doing what we're doing. Well, we're having lots of fun doing it, so that's the most important reason that we're doing it. But it was when I published the book originally. This book, 749 questions, it was designed as a workbook. White space in between, no answers. The intent was that the small business would pick out those questions that were pertinent to their own business, or they wanted to say, wow, I never thought about that, and then go out and say, I need to talk to Dustin, I need to talk to Jess, I need to talk to Brooke and get answers to the questions. That was the only criticism I got about the book. Well, I got the 7-year itch as I was developing my marketing plan for 2015, and I said, now I'm going to do the answers. And instead of writing the answers, which would take me a couple years to do and publish, I said, let's do videos. Well, you guys know I love to do videos, and I love to do HOAs, and they're engaging, and it would make for a very interesting way to publish. So that's why we're doing what we're doing, and the feedback I'm getting and the interaction that I'm getting with the folks that are working, giving us panels, has just been incredible. It's just been beyond my expectation. So I expect nothing less from you guys today. Okay?
Crap, we got to deliver now. Dang it.
You have to deliver. You're obligated to deliver.
This one.
Pump us up. Keep it going.
Let me tell you, I was awakened probably 10 minutes earlier than I usually get up by what we all have had in our lifetime, the entrepreneurial epiphany. And I said, what's going on and where are we going to go? And I said, I want to create, even if it's for one day, I want to have a marketing and sales entity. And because that's what I've been doing for 40 years, I want something new, and I want to take advantage of everything that's out there right now. And so I did what I usually do. I do one of two things: either I go and buy a domain, which I did not do, or I set up a Google Plus community. And I set up a Google Plus community this morning, and the name of the community is Dreaming with Entrepreneurs, Marketing and Sales in Google and G+. So we are part of the forming of a new community. I said, you know what? I want to look in this community. I want to look for the most creative minds I can find in Google, and have discussions and talk about things and throw ideas out there. Could I have picked 3 better people that are sitting in front of me right now with those creative minds, with the ideas to share? If anybody thinks I could pick a better one, raise their hand.
Not a chance.
I better not see
a chance.
I better not see it. Okay.
Didn't you know? Look, I am awesome. I am amazing, and I have stickers to prove it.
Oh, I want you to send. Would you please? You have.
Man, I need some stickers.
I know, right?
Can you send me some, Jess?
Yeah, I can. I'll send you some.
Little girl and me. I'm like, stickers.
Exactly, Brooke. Exactly.
Well, just to establish some credibility with this group, as if they need credibility, and as I was looking for creative minds, I didn't go to LinkedIn and do that thing to find them. I didn't really need to go to Google Plus with these 3 folks. Because I've known these 3 folks for several years, and so we've had interaction. But I did go to the profiles. You know what I found out this morning when I went to the profiles? Between the 3 of you, You have over 52,000 followers. Is that credibility or what?
Right on.
And here's even a more incredible thing, and I think you might have. No, you don't have the record, but you're in the top 3 of all the folks I've been talking to. Between the 3 of you, there are more than 40 million Google Plus views. Whatever a Google Plus view is. I don't know if anybody really knows what a Google Plus view is, but
It's
you guys, what, Dustin?
It's a whole lot of things.
Well, it is, but I've been kind of paying attention to mine just to see if I could figure out what am I doing to stimulate more views, and I haven't figured it out. So I got 10,000 views in a couple days, and I didn't do anything extraordinary to get those views. So I don't know what's going on. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really. All it really says is that we're engaged and people are listening and following and doing whatever that we do. And that's the important. It doesn't matter what that number is. And with all due respect, Jess and Brooke, I have to say that Dustin has been the driver of most of those views.
Of course, that's totally fine. I knew it right off the bat when you said it. I was like, go Dustin! Woo-hoo!
It's amazing. Your number is amazing, Dustin. And as I said, I've been looking at those numbers with some of the people that I've had discussions with, and that's a neat thing. Not so much that it's a big number. Mine is bigger than yours, but it's more that it tells you that people are responding and people are talking, and that's what it's all about. And the 3 of you do as good a job as there is to take that out there. So what I'd like to do, as I introduce you one at a time, I would like to, and we've had a lot of fun with this week, I would like you to do a 60-second, what we affectionately call elevator pitch. And you know what my one rule was about that. And I don't want to hear it, because if I hear it, you're going to get the gong. And we're going to do it in, and we're doing it for a learning experience, because one thing about marketing, and that's what we're talking about today, is if somebody asks you what is it that you do, who are you and what do you do and why do you do it, you have to have a concise statement to do, and so that's why we even think about them. So alphabetically, let me see, it looks like Brooke is the first one to do her 60 seconds. So Brooke, what can you say?
Well, hi, first of all, and thank you so much for including me today. I feel really special, even though I know Dustin's the heavyweight there. Admittedly...
No. Dustin's got the numbers, but we're all heavyweights.
Listen, I am a lean 207 pounds, okay? There is no heaviness. I'm 6'3". That is a natural weight for that size, okay? Thank you.
What's your body mass index? What's your body mass index?
Less than 17%.
Oh wow!
I am jealous. I can't even exist at that.
I'm obese. Yeah. I'm obese. But I got a lot of muscle.
I'm all curves and girl. That's all that is.
Okay, we're getting away from. We're getting off topic a little bit here.
I'm Brooke Ballard of B Squared Media. I'm the double B behind B Squared, and my elevator pitch usually involves a question, and I'll get to that why in a bit. But what I like to ask people is, what if you could change the course of your business for the better based on conversations with current clients and prospective clients? And the reason why I ask that question is because it's a make you think question, and I like those make you think questions in movies and quotes. But really more so because what we do with marketing is focusing on modern marketing, which is less about the campaign and more about the conversation. So we really try to educate our clients, who are mostly B2B companies, but some B2C, about modern marketing and the use of psychographics and finding out more about their audience through those psychographics learning about them, and then through that course of market research or conversations or whatever you want to call it, better learning how to sell to their audience based on that information. So that's my probably less than 60-second pitch, but it's pretty simple if you ask me. It's being conversation, not campaign.
You know, and you hit up, you know, I think all of, you know, Brooke, you did have some keywords, and you used psychoanalytics, and you know what, you used that same word 2 years ago, if you remember, when we did our first HOA together, and it's interesting that that has remained with you, because we have to understand behavior. We have to understand, A, who our target customer is, and how do they behave, and then how do we communicate to them. And one thing I would like to say about the three of you all have very simple, straightforward websites. And I'm going to ask Dustin that question in a moment, so hold on to your thoughts there, Dustin. But that's important, and there's a theme between the three of you as I went and I looked at all of them. It's simple, and you do play on the words. Think conversation, Brooke. They are big on your site. I want to ask you one customized question.
Oh boy.
And that is, rumor has it that content distribution is going to be big. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes. In fact, that's one of our big focuses this year in 2015 when we were preparing for the year and looking at content. And, you know, it's funny because you hear everybody go out there and say, like, just write it and they'll come. As long as it's good and it's valuable, they'll come. And there is obviously something to be said about really good, valuable content, but you can write great content. In fact, I know plenty of authors and bloggers who have amazing content, but if you don't do something with it, it's amazing all by itself, right? So I think what we need to focus on top of just being amazing, because it really, if you're not out there to be amazing, why are you out there? That's my POV. But on top of that amazing content, we need to think about how we're distributing that content to our clients first and foremost, and then, you know, in the social sphere, through your marketing channels, through campaigns. And I hate to say campaigns, but obviously we use campaigns. We just are from the mindset that there's not a beginning and an end to a campaign. It's an ongoing life cycle. It's an attitude, and that's kind of the same opinion that I have about content. There shouldn't be an end and a beginning. You shouldn't write it and then publish it and be done. It should fit into your cycle and live forever, kind of thing.
Let me ask you a question that came up this week in an HOA that I did, and I won't say who brought up this statement, but they said, "Oh, content marketing, it isn't. It's very cliche. They're just words. It doesn't mean anything." And I kind of stepped back when that statement was made. You know what? Let me ask Brooke. Why don't you comment on that, and then a quick comment from Jess and Dustin on that too, please.
Sure. So I think I do understand where they're coming from, because we're out there. We hear it constantly. Content marketing. It's the queen. It's the king. It's the next biggest thing. And it's not. It's been there forever. I mean, if you go back to the 1800s, John Deere was using content marketing back then. So it's nothing new. I think it's just that people are just now, and I say people meaning a lot of businesses or people that aren't in our space, right, the common people, society is starting to understand the importance of content because of different mediums that have pushed content to the forefront. So search engines, right? As consumers now, we now have this ability to go and research things or look for information, and it's available right there. That's content. Mobile is also a huge medium for pushing content to the top, because now we don't have to be at home sitting at our desk to look for that content. We can be anywhere and look for content. So I think that's where the buzzword comes in and it does become cliche in some ways, but at the same time, I still think it's important because you have to have something that differentiates your brand from the other brands in your industry, and I think content is one of the most important ways you can do that.
Jess, content marketing.
Content and content marketing, we need it, but it does not have to be the priority, nor do we have to be content engines. And as I was thinking about the question, a quote came to mind, and I recently read an article that Jonah Peretti was quoted in, and he said, "We can only optimize one thing, and we have to pick. Otherwise, all that's being done is making a bunch of compromises, because if you optimize for multiple things, you can't do any of them really well." And that was a summary of the quote that he shared. And I believe that. So if you're going to choose content and that's going to be the thing you do, it's going to be the king for you. But somebody else may choose a different part of marketing, like LinkedIn relationships, or short Vine videos, or who knows, whatever social platform is exciting to that person, and that's where they're going to spend their time, and that's where they're going to see results. So I think how we use it and where we do things, and do we even need that much content? Somebody might need 20 pieces of content a week. Another company might only need one or once a month. It really will depend on the overall focus and the experience, and I think that we have to take all of that into consideration to really do some serious kick-ass work and sparkle really brightly.
Well, I got to say, Jess, you are really good at what you do because you started answering the next question I was going to ask you, and you didn't even hear the question yet. I can't. So I'm glad. Hold on to your thoughts. Okay, Dustin, content marketing.
I love content marketing. I think it's a weird term because, like Brooke said, it's always existed. It's just been in different formats. It's been a little less pigeonholed in certain ways. If you follow certain industries throughout the centuries in their marketing efforts, content marketing has always existed. It's just been in different formats. It's been in newspaper articles. It's been in documentaries. It's been in different forms of media. Well, the digital age, the age of the internet, has changed some things, and now the age of the internet is just now getting to a maturity level to where it's catching up with the non-digital marketing world. You look at a lot of the trends. Let's take my favorite, visual marketing, into account. Now, to those internet marketers out there, visual content is a new thing, and it's this astounding, like, oh my gosh, you have to be visual, and people like visuals. This is a new trend. Are you kidding me? Do you know the reason magazines existed for decades and decades? Do you know the reason that billboards have existed for centuries? It's to me, content marketing
is digital now. The billboards are digital. They can change.
Right.
They can change on the moments.
And that's what it is. It's this disconnect that we still have from the real world marketing. Folks who have been doing this at the highest level for decades is now catching up to the digital format, and those who have been with their attention highly on the digital format, those of us who are internet guys and bloggers and social media junkies, we're catching on to this before the rest of the world, but it's not like we're finding it first. We're just finding it across a digital medium. And I think anybody who's interested in content marketing would do well to study all the traditional industries, study the film industry, and what they've done in the form of content marketing, because nobody's better. That's of high interest to me because I'm from the entertainment world. I'm an actor, and I've been in productions, and I've studied that industry for most of my life. And so, word to the wise: study the entertainment industry and try to find the connections to content marketing, and you'll see a lot of connections start to pop up, and your creativity will just open up as far as what content marketing really is.
You made me go back in time, Dustin, as I was listening to you. I did my first serious video in 1978. I started a magazine from scratch, and the way I was going to tell the world about the magazine was through a 19-minute video, and the way I wanted to get people to watch that video is I sent out a direct mail piece and asked them for 19 minutes of their time, and they came to a wine and cheese party, and we showed them a 19-minute video, and the magazine took off. It was amazing. Okay.
And here's the last thing I'll say, because
no, it's not the last thing. It's the next thing you'll say. Okay.
It's the next thing I'll say. One thing that I really love about content marketing in the digital world, in its current form, is that it's rapidly evolving. It's getting so much better. Just the delivery of content, and we're getting smarter with how we create this content. But I liken it to the paradigm shift that happened in the entertainment world. I'm sure you remember a time, David, all of you probably remember a time, I remember a time, and I'm likely the youngest person.
And I'm likely the oldest person.
When going to the theater and knowing that there was going to be previews was like, ugh. Like, I'm going to have to sit through previews. I can't. Ugh. Let's just get there late. We'll get there like 5 minutes late and skip the previews. Today, it's a very different world. I cannot miss what they're now called trailers. If I miss the trailers, I'm a wreck. I'm like furious. I'm on my wife. I'm like, love, we got to get out the door now. We're going to miss the trailers.
I've always been like that, Dustin. I get it.
You get it, right? And even we're sitting there on Hulu every day going, oh, what's the new trailers? Oh, we have an app from Apple that's movie trailers. Oh, I wonder what are there any new trailers today?
I like commercials too. I'm a big
commercials. We've seen a paradigm shift in marketing that is so stinking good. We didn't even realize it happened. To where movie previews were a thing of just annoyance and can't stand, to now it's like we can't miss them. Marketers in the traditional world have gotten so good that their marketed content has become featured content for us.
Look at the viewership of commercials during the Super Bowl, and the price goes up and up and up and up. It's amazing, and companies, I'm sure, are spending an entire year producing that 60-second spot or whatever it is today. It's amazing.
And my point of all that is we're experiencing that same paradigm shift with digital marketing and all things social media and content-driven marketing online.
Okay, Jess, can we talk about the infusion principle for a moment?
Sure.
Sure, David. Why not?
Sure.
Infusion principle: ideas, chemistry, kindred spirits, peers with visionary thoughts, sharing to strengthen us all. How beautiful! What wonderful crafting of words. And I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, that's a site. I'm taking those from a site that Jess and her business partner Nora Whalen just released, what, in the last maybe 90 days, 100 days?
Yes. Well, I was going to say those words sound like something that was published in the last 90 days. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I want to read from your site, and I would like you to comment on the words that I'm reading. Our goal with Infusion Principle is to urge entrepreneurs to stop treating life as a checklist and start looking at it as a stimulating exploration. We want to motivate them to not just earn a living, but live every moment with pride, purpose, passion, and positivity. Oh, the 4 Ps. Those are your 4 Ps. Everybody has Ps when they're describing something.
That's true.
And the only way to honor your exclusive calling and resonate with your target audience is to blaze your exclusive trail. And you brought this up a second ago when you were talking about the you part of marketing and what you get comfortable with. Would you like to comment on those words?
There are a lot of things I could say, and I'm all fired up now that you have shared that. So where do I start? I think that we all feel a pressure to perform, and I think we all feel a little like we might not be able to do it all of the time. Then there are the times that we're like, yes, we can do this, and here we go, and we are flying, or we are walking forward knowing that we're either going to soar on our wings or there will be ground underneath us with each step that we take. And we oscillate between both of those places. And so what Infusion Principle really is about is to be there and be supportive in both of those places, because we will get there. That's part of our human condition of experience. And we can live our passion and we can do what we love, even those things that when we're doing those things, there are times that are tough. There are things that we have to really look at it ourselves and let go of old beliefs, and to really fill the shoes that we're here to fill. And we each have our own purpose. And it's so cool to see how people come to work, whatever their work is, whether they're a business owner, a solopreneur, they are a customer service representative, they're a janitor, they're a line cook, they are a dealer at a casino, they are the CEO of a company, they're whatever position they're in. There's a reason that they're in that position. And when their essence is discovered and they know why they're doing what they do, nothing can stop them. And the organization, the position that they're in and the organization that they're a part of becomes better for it and becomes more apt to be community-oriented and customer service-oriented, where we really get to serve each other. We get to create, because creation is part of it. We get to do things and feel like we belong and contribute to something bigger than ourselves. And we take in all of these ideas, which, by the way, is a gift from everybody else, that they're willing to talk to us about these ideas so we can deliver something. And it's our job, it's our role, it's our existence to then be able to contribute and collaborate with other people on ideas to facilitate their dreams, to get them going, so that we can have that reciprocal, circular cycle that we can work with. Because yeah, money's a big thing, and money really comes once we really look at that cycle, and we can give and we can receive as much as we give, and everything else falls into place, and we get the success, the life, the love that we want.
You kind of described, I'm listening, Jess, you kind of described what I'm all about. My goodness.
Yeah, I know. I would say that...
Let's do the money part of it. Money has never been a driver to me.
Nope.
It's never, what I've been able to get out of all of my efforts is much greater. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Money pays the bills, and
we need it. It's necessary. Yeah, exactly. We're not saying that what we're doing we see value, and other people see value, and we're helping people increase their value, and people see our value, and the money is a part of that cycle. It is not, for me and for what I do, it's not the driver. You are correct.
Okay, well that's just a personal thought. Dustin, you are one of the, I like to use the word diverse to describe you and the blogging that you, there's a lot of people out there that do a lot of blogging, but I don't read a lot of it because I don't know why they're doing it. Somehow, no, and somehow when I follow your blogging pretty closely because I know that I'm going to get good content. I know that I'm going to get something that's going to make me stop and think about something, and it's not an ego platform. Blogging has allowed a huge ego platform to exist, and so you've done of recent, other than the ones about your sons who are learning about washing the family dishes, and the question is, are they doing it because they want to contribute to the family, or are they doing it so they can make a mess? And I don't think it really matters at this point in their lives.
Yeah, we can just train them into being at the sink and holding at least one dish. Judah really likes to play with the soap on his hands. He hasn't actually washed a dish yet, but we're hoping to get them into that rhythm so that, you know, once they're teenagers, chore time, they'll know what to do.
Oh wow! If you had been my daddy growing up, Dustin, man alive. Okay, so the two things that you've done recently that I would like you to address. You talked about Google Trends and how important Google Trends are, and then I would like you to make a comment where you think website design should be and where it's going, because you are as good as it gets when it comes to talking about website design and doing and executing.
Well, David, you're racking up the royalties here, man. I need to write you a big fat check for all that praise. But so your first question was about the Google Trends. So Google Trends is something that I've been using now for a couple of years at least. I don't know when they did a big revamp of it and made it really cool and interesting, and I started using it around that time. But the Google Plus post that I shared recently was actually a blog post from Daniel Futureman, who was talking about how he uses Google Trends to pick up on things that are popular or things that are, you know, really getting buzzed about, and you know, write about them relevantly and drive, for lack of a better term, a crap ton of organic traffic towards your content. You know, one of the hardest things for, I think, a lot of content marketers, or at least, you know, new people who are new to content marketing, is how to tie in relevant, trending events or news into their product or service. And a lot of times it seems hokey, or it seems forced, or sometimes in a lot of instances we've seen where that has gone completely wrong. You know, a company which will remain unnamed will tweet out something during a tragedy and try to make it about a sales event. I mean, that's just, we've seen those tragedies come and go, but it's very difficult to, number one, stay on top of what's trending and what's really getting the buzz in the moment. But also, you know, the harder part is to figure out how to creatively, not necessarily news jacket, but to relevantly surface your content or provide some sort of value that ties into that relevant content to your audience. And Google Trends is just one tool in which you can use to find the relevant content. It's not a tool that will help you to creatively come up with a way to tie your content to that relevant news and trending events, but it is a tool to find the trending events. And it's one of the best tools out there, because who knows better than Google what people are searching for and what people are looking for.
David Amerland.
David Amerland aside, who knows better than Google?
Well, and I'm talking about, you know, the whole concept of semantic search and how that's the new, not new, but you know, more focus on getting into the minds of people, and what it is that they're thinking about, and what do they think about, and what kind of information do they really, and that's all part of marketing. That's things as marketers we must get our hands around that and and grasp that.
And for me, it always goes back to storytelling. It always goes back to when I was a child and I fell in love with acting and told my parents I'm going to be a famous actor when I grow up.
How old were you when you told your parents that?
I was probably 6 months old. Full sentence, just, Mommy, Daddy, look, I'm going to Hollywood when I graduate. As long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be an actor, because not only do I love performing and love making people smile and laugh, but I love telling a story. I love seeing that change in people when you take them through a scenario with that has conflict and then a resolution. And one of my favorite things, one of my favorite books that I've ever read was by Donald Miller. It's called A Million Miles in 1,000 Years, and he talks about story and what is a story. And a story is a person who wants something who has to go through conflict to get it. And the whole of marketing can benefit from better storytelling. And if we learn how to understand who it is we're telling that story to, and we realize that it's not just giving them some flat information and getting them to buy our junk. It's telling them a story of, really who they are. You have to speak to who they are, tell them a story that makes sense and that touches them where they are, and then show them something that they haven't seen, or show them something that they might have seen but didn't realize was there. I don't know what that rabbit trail was really about, but
it made me think of something, Dustin. It made me think of this old, tired, crazy story about a farmer. If you asked a farmer 100 years ago what they really, really, really wanted for their farming and what would make it better, they would say more horses or bigger horses to be able to pull more. Nobody thought of a tractor. But there was some dude out there that thought of a tractor and decided he was going to build it because it would help him. And he went through the trials and tribulations, and then when he was able to show it, everybody was like, oh. And there goes this shift from point A to point B. And he was, one, a disruptor. Two, he didn't care what people were actually saying. I shouldn't say he didn't care. I'm sure there was an element of caring. Everybody's doing the same thing over and over again. I'm going to hear you, and I'm going to help you the best way I can. But I'm also going to go do this at the same time. And boy, am I going to blow your mind when I get there. And I think that that's something that came to mind as you were talking, Dustin.
Yeah.
Spoken as someone who grew up in Kansas, where there's lots of farmers. Wow.
That's right. Now, I don't bleed purple or blue, but yes, I am from Kansas.
Brooke, how would you comment on what you've been listening to for the last couple minutes?
Well, yeah, I mean, Dustin hit on exactly, we use these words on our website, actually, on our website copy. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are. And consumers aren't choosing companies. I mean, they know pretty much what you do. It's telling the story of who you are more so than it is, what you do. And on top of that, when we're talking about content and messaging and branding and all of those things, it's telling that story. But it's also knowing the who of your audience and your consumer, because your story, is only going to mesh with someone that can relate. And so if you know that those, who they are, then you can kind of meld who you are around that and find your specific niche. So I love that he said that, because that is like almost verbatim what we say on our website.
Awesome.
Wow.
Now the other thing you asked me, David, was about web design.
Correct.
And I'll say something very quickly about that. Web design is another piece of the internet culture and world that is rapidly evolving. It's come a long way since the late 90s, and very, very few concepts that one, I think, needs to understand going into or approaching their web design. Communication, simplicity, and story. Storytelling is, again, of the utmost importance. It's the same thing as the paradigm shift that happened from movie previews to movie trailers. You have to learn to tell a story and make it interesting and useful for people. You have to give them something that is there's probably a big fancy word that I could insert here. But you have to make it a journey for them, enjoyable. And unfortunately, so many websites still get that piece wrong. They overclutter their interfaces. They put as many things as possible above that fold thing that people like to talk about. But what really needs to happen is you need to understand what your goals are and what a customer or a reader's goal is when they land on your page. And any element, any box, any border, any frills, any image that is not 100% tied to that goal and those objectives for the reader is unnecessary and should be removed from the page.
I'm going to throw a curveball
I
at
agree
you,
with
Dustin. I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
I am totally surprised and I've done it the last 3 websites that I've had. None of them in existence right now, though. That landing pages, that landing page that brings you to the home page, does not have a video on it. I am so surprised I don't see enough videos on that landing page. We see simplicity, and we see pages, home pages that are more readable and more adaptable and more engaging, but we don't see a lot of videos, and that's always anything that I do will have a video on the home page.
Yeah, well, there's probably a number of technical reasons for that. I'm sure there's some study into that, but one of the biggest issues with videos on a homepage or on a landing page, it's very resource intensive, and it's tricky to get it right based on viewport sizes and screen sizes and mobile. You know.
Oh, I was just going to say mobile probably is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
With that.
Especially with bandwidth issues. I mean, in America, the U.S., the U.K., you know, we have it pretty good as far as internet speeds, but a lot of the world still has very, very tricky internet speeds. So load time is very important, and you know, a video is very resource intensive. It takes a lot of time to load. It's tricky to get right. So I think a lot of people just default to a simpler image-based thing. I do that on Dustin.tv. I don't use a whole lot of videos yet.
Oh, are we hearing an announcement?
No, not yet. But most people do know I do a big redesign every year at the beginning of the year. So and it hasn't happened yet.
You said something, Dustin, that I really identified with, and that was about the journey. And Brooke, you alluded to this also when we were talking about taking people on a journey. And there are a lot of metrics we use to measure ROI. And I think one that is underutilized and undervalued is the time somebody spends with us. And how do we tell that? How do we tell our story and get them in a very simple, straightforward way to want to spend more time with us? And I think there's a direct correlation between the time somebody spends with us and the story that we're telling. Not necessarily on our homepage, but in that entire presence, and I'm not even going to say digitally anymore, in the world. Anywhere somebody sees you, from a name tag you wear in person, to the license plate on your car, to any advertising you're doing outside of the internet or brick and mortar store you might have, to everything that's happening online. And are you real? People can tell if we're real or not, and I think that that's a big piece. So when we are thinking about time and we're thinking about meaning, that's also not instantaneous. It does take time, and it can take a lot of years, but most of the time, like Brooke, your story precedes you. I don't think we've ever sat in a hangout together, but I knew who you were and I knew about you and what you stood for before we got here. Dustin, I have had the pleasure of hanging out with you in other areas, but also at the same time, your story preceded you the first time that I met you, and same with you, David. And so I think that there's something to be said for that journey, and that we're doing it whether we want to or not. So are we doing it with purpose, and are we trying to take too big of steps at a time, too many actions, or are we taking no action and we're just kind of willy-nilly letting things happen? Are we being purposeful about what we're saying, how we're saying it, where we're saying it, and the way that it's being said?
Yeah, you said something very, very important, and I want to make sure that everybody hears that. You said that you alluded to the connection between online interactions and offline interactions should not be separated as they used to be, and that's a key point. Making the digital presence, being at a level of awareness to be as the same person and the same company, the same experience online as off. One example I like to always make in the world of web design, but it can tie into any aspect of a brand, is that your website is like your suit. You know, it's like your uniform. So you would not walk into a client meeting, or you would not invite a client into your place of business when the only suit that you own is an outdated 1985 plaid and checker patches here, patches there, outdated, Nike symbol on your shoes. Not Nike symbol's outdated, but you get the idea.
Nokia flip phone.
Nokia flip phone.
You guys are describing me perfectly. I'm getting. I don't know what I'm going to do now. I'm saying, well, wait a second. Do I have to throw my suits away, or because?
But we understand in real life. We understand this thing of presenting ourselves in a way that's professional, in a way that that people would perceive us to be knowledgeable and professional. But when it comes to the digital world, we forget about all that. We use outdated icons. We use
pictures that are 7 years old.
What's that?
Pictures that are 7 years old.
Pictures that are 7 years old. We use we use these web designs that look like they came out of the 90s, and we don't spend the amount of time and care presenting ourselves in a digital realm as we do in the physical realm. Mm-hmm. And millennials, one thing about millennials is that there's no such thing as a digital world and a physical world. It's the same exact world. Their interactions on Snapchat are just as important and meaningful to them as their interactions face-to-face. Yes. They don't separate the two. And that's where the world is going. So we need to jump on top of that and realize that the way that we carry ourselves in person should be the way we carry ourselves online. The attention to detail and care and quality that we have in real life and our real businesses should be the attention to care and quality that we put in our online businesses.
Well, I might have to ask you guys for some assistance. I have two sons who are young enough to be my grandsons, and in the millennial mindset, and I have the hardest time marketing my message to them. But I might need you guys to help me out and how to engage them, and I don't know, whatever. The challenges of being a parent.
My goodness. I think that's just being a parent.
I think so. That's right. Talk to somebody else's kids.
Yeah.
Like mine or Dustin's.
No. Good luck with mine.
That's what I was thinking too, as I said that.
Well, I've got grandkids grandchild with another one on the way, and I can't wait till I can teach her how to get on the computer herself, so she doesn't have to wait for her father to get her on and to talk to me. She can do it herself. That'll be fun. Yeah. Maybe there'll be a switchback. Maybe we'll go back to the millennials. They were truly. We read a lot of stories about the challenges of marketing to a millennial. I mean, it's really hard to figure them out sometimes. And as marketers, we have to figure out if they're our target customers. We have to figure it out. Us baby boomers are so easy. We are so easy to market to.
There's this thing that people talk about of you build it and they will come, or you write it and they will come, or if you write from your heart, an audience will appear to you. And that goes back to what Brooke was saying at the beginning of, I think that's only half true. And no matter what we're creating in whatever form that is, I agree. We have to know a little bit. We have to know what our purpose is. We might not know who our audience is, but that's okay, because by taking action, we will learn. Oh, you're not the person I'm trying to talk to. You're not the person I'm trying to talk to. Oh, you are the person I'm trying to talk to. Now I know. I have this idea, but until I actually go out and do it, I don't know, because I have no real-life example and real-life results to work with. And once I know one, great. Or I have an existing client base and I'm trying to get into a new market or add something that I think that they want. But I think about what they want, but I never ask them. And until I ask and I get interest and I get adoption, there's nothing to do. And I think that that's a piece that we forget. We kind of think about it and we worry about how are we going to engage and is our story going to be good without actually ever doing it. So we got to get up and take some action at some point.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like Dustin was saying, he revamps his website every year. We just revamped the text on our website. We just revamped it a few months before that. I mean, it's a constant evolution, I think, if you are listening to what your audience is telling you and you're figuring out who they are, and that also changes, and people's opinions and beliefs and all those psychographics also change as people grow. So it's a constant evolution, and I think what has happened, like Dustin said, a lot of people are in their like 1990s suits because they're not paying attention to that evolution. They're not actively engaged in that evolution, and I fear for those people because, you know, I understand the fear of change, but if you don't move with the tides, you can often get left behind.
It's going to be interesting, and I've been reading a lot of stories about it to see how email shakes out in this coming year. There's actually, I think it was fairly flat. The email was fairly flat in terms of using it as a marketing tool in 2014. Interesting, though, there's a projected increase in the use of direct mail, which has always been a favorite tool of mine. I think a direct mail postcard, 4-color postcard, can be one of the most effective marketing tools. And you can do it digitally, or you can do it in hard copy. And it's a real effective tool. Okay, I want to play a game, and we don't have a whole lot of time, so we'll do these quick. I'm going to throw at each one of you a comment, a question actually, that I read recently in a story, and they were interviewing some high-class, expensive creative types. And I thought, well, geez, I've got creative minds that I'm going to be talking to today that are as good as these creative minds, and I want to listen to your responses against the ones that I was reading. Question number one, and we'll start. We'll go Brooke, Jess, and Dustin. We'll just go down the line. We'll just real quick answers to these questions. There's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are the things, technical, societal, media-related, economic, or otherwise, that will most impact the work you'll be doing next year? And there's an assumption here that some of the stuff that you're doing, obviously, you're going to be sharing with clients and folks that you talk to, and the blogging that you do. So, having said that, what is your answer to that question, Brooke? Real quick.
Psychographics.
Oh, there you go. You don't get any better than that, do you? Understanding human behavior. That's the bottom line. Jess.
Mine's similar to psychographics in the sense that it's listening to what's not being said and teaching others to do the same.
Dustin.
Weather.
Whether or not.
No, the weather. I really just base all my marketing efforts on the weather. And since I live in Southern California, that means it's beautiful every single day.
Wow. What an analogy. Okay. Yes? Hello? Oh, okay. What are you hoping to do more and less of? Brooke?
More content distribution, more focus on the distribution, not just on the content. Less digital time, believe it or not. More digital detoxing, less digital time.
Jess?
I would say more. Well, I don't know how to get more of this in, but the first word that pops into my brain is conversation. More conversation and more joy. And
Brooke likes that word conversation.
I like the word conversation too. In any form.
Being an actor likes conversation.
Woo-hoo! And I would say
I like one-way conversation where I just get to talk the whole time.
Oh, monologues, nice. Yeah. And I'll do less monologuing. That's what. There we go. More conversation, less monologues. I'll just keep it around conversation.
Are we going to have a battle here? Are we going to take this battle to the streets, to the blogs, to Google Plus? Dustin, oh, you did I ask you more or less of?
No. More cat gifs.
Oh, no.
Less cowbell. No, actually, I'm revamping a poster. I'm actually revamping a poster that's directly related to this question that says less things, more better.
Yes.
I'm going to do less things in 2015 than I did in 2014, and I'm going to do more of them better.
I love that.
Brilliant.
Less things,
That's-
more better.
And I used to say more better, and when I said that, my father, who always corrected my grammar, always called me to task on that one. Always.
Oh, yeah. I love provoking the grammar Nazis.
There you go. Well, my father was a journalism graduate, so he was right on top of all that. Your creative year. What will you do in 2015 to be more creative? Oh boy, this is going to be a good one. Or grow creatively. Dustin, I'm waiting for your answer, but we're going to start with Brooke.
I think less numbers, more people. You know, sometimes we get so mired in the analytics and the numbers and the page views and the time on page, and we lose focus on people. And then when we lose focus on people, I think that stifles creativity. So less numbers, more people.
Let me comment real quickly on that. I have heard, this is the third time this week already in talking with folks, I've heard we're going to do more with less. One person even totally changed their business model. Totally changed it. They're throwing half of their customers away, and the ones that are remaining, they're charging twice as much for. And what a brilliant model! And they just instituted it maybe 30 days ago, as they started to tell folks about 2015, and it's working. It is working for them. Mm-hmm. Okay, Jess, more. What are you going to do more? No, we are. You're creative. More creative.
More creativity is going to come by continuing to read 30 pages a day of 1 or 2 books at a time, and I'm going to take more vacation.
Ooh,
you go, girl. Dustin, I know what being a father of young kids, I know what you're going to be doing.
Spending a lot of time with my kiddos. But there are 2 very specific things that I sat down when I did my yearly review that I wanted to be very intentional about, and it's where I get my inspiration from. In our line of work, you sit in front of a computer for a lot of your day. So my goal has been to take a walk once a day. Just go, get out of my seat. I call it my technology-free walk. I leave my phone in not airplane mode, but do not disturb mode. I don't touch it during the entire walk, but I do want to get credit for the steps. You know, I want to make sure those steps are recorded for my health app. So I'm going to take a walk at least once a day for at least 20 minutes and just be present. I also am going to be looking for a lot more of other people's creative works. A while back, I did a circle of the most interesting people on Google+, and I did a circle of the best photographers on Google+, and those were very great. People were very grateful for those circles. They've been huge sources of inspiration for a lot of people. So I'm going to be looking for a lot of people, specifically on Google+, who inspire me and who share very inspiring things that spark my creativity. And a lot of that is, you know, visual. My creativity is invoked by things that are visual and you know, colorful and powerful. So I'm going to be on the lookout for a new circle of inspirational people on Google+, and find and share a lot of inspirational things from other people.
Okay, I think you might have touched on it, all 3 of you, but next question number 4. We gotta quickly, because Jess has to leave here soon. What will be your biggest creative challenge next year? I think maybe you've all touched upon it a little bit. Brooke?
Yeah, challenge. You know, I think the biggest challenge that I face, and this has been every year in my business, because we're a small startup, we're a boutique, I wear a lot of hats. And so just learning how to compartmentalize those hats and delegate more is my challenge again.
Challenge to any small business owner.
Right.
Jess?
I would say that for me, the biggest challenge is going to be protecting my thinking time. And the time, so like what Dustin was describing as his present walk, I have time that I do very similar to that, and I call it my thinking time. And protecting it and keeping it all the time. That is going to be my biggest challenge this year.
Good for you. Dustin?
Coffee.
Nice. Is it bulletproof? Is it bulletproof?
No, I haven't gotten into the bulletproof thing yet. I need to. I need to check it out.
Bulletproof, baby. I drink bulletproof tea because I don't drink coffee, and it is amazing.
Okay, I'm going to look into that. Note to self.
Note to self.
Actually, the last couple HOAs I've done with you, Jess, you've shared tea recipes.
That's right. And one
Yes.
of them was the bulletproof tea. Today it's just beautiful, wonderful ginger perca tea.
There you go. The tea of the day.
Tea of the
Okay.
day.
Here's a great one to end with. Predictions for 2015's most overused buzzwords.
Growth hacking, content marketing, mobile video, all the same usual suspects.
I'm going to piggyback what Brooke said. I think those are a good list.
Okay, Dustin. I'm sure Dustin's going to come up with his own list. I'm challenging you now, Dustin.
There's so many good buzzwords out there floating around.
There are.
You nailed them all. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of new ones. Well, you can't say that. In 3 months, there's going to be a new buzzword.
And you're going to probably create it, Dustin.
I think the buzzword for 2014 or 2015 is going to be buzzwords.
I expect to see a blog on it. Okay. Thank you for taking your very precious commodity of time and sharing some wonderful thoughts and ideas today. As I said, our Dreaming with Entrepreneurs and Google Plus Creative Dream Team. I will put this Creative Dream Team up against any Creative Dream Team anywhere. And thank you for taking your time. And what I would say also, and I've gotten some really interesting response to it. I've done this. This now ends phase 2 of the book. I started out doing phase 1 was I asked 5 people to do introductory chapter type discussions. Then this week we moved to group discussions. I had 5 wonderful groups this week. From here on out, I'm going to ask or have people come to me, individuals who want to spend 15 minutes and take a single thought, single question, and spend 15 minutes on it. That's our next phase. So if any of you want to do that, let me know. And because you're on the group, the phase 2, you will have the right of first refusal of my time, and we'll make it work. So I want to thank you very much for your thoughts today. We will do a lot of marketing with it, and we'll a lot of folks, a lot of lives will be changed because of the thoughts that you shared with us today, and thank you for that. And for folks who are viewing, if there are questions about anything that was said, please send me a personal note, plus David Leopold, and David F. Leopold, I guess my Google name is, and I will make sure that you get an answer to your question, and we look forward for you visiting us the next chapter, the next discussion that we have, because the next time may very well be
the best time.
Okay.